What's up, wrestling fans? I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and if you're a fan of WWE, you know that we are currently in the Wrestlemania season. They just recently had the Elimination Chamber, and then, of course, the Royal Rumble was before that. They're starting their build to their biggest pay-per-view of the year, that being, of course, WrestleMania. But with the, Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber already out of the way, we now know who will be challenging for all the world championships, on both the men's and women's side. But we don't really know any other matches that are going to be happening yet as of this recording. There hasn't really been anything announced for WrestleMania quite yet. I assume they're going to start as early as, this episode of Raw and this coming SmackDown and stuff like that, as we only have, I think 6 or 7 weeks until WrestleMania, so they're going to want to start their build as quickly as possible. But because they haven't really announced anything yet, I'm going to kind of give some theories on some matches that I think are going to be taking place based off of the current storylines and rivalries that are happening in WWE, and kind of predict what I think WWE is trying to build toward. So without further delay, here are some matches that I think are going to happen at WrestleMania 42 that have not been announced yet. So first up is a match between the two Grande Americanos. Obviously Chad Gable adopted the mantle of Grande Americano when he was in that whole, facing off against luchadors phase, and then he tried to, learn the ways of the luchador, so he went and became a luchador himself and got a mask and a costume and everything, called himself Grande Americano. And then, of course, part way through the whole story with him being Grande Americano, he ended up getting injured, so they had to replace him with a different Grande Americano, which, of course, I guess is Ludwig Kaiser in the mask. And then over the last couple of months, he even formed his own little faction with 2 other people dressed as Grande Americanos, or they're just called the Los Americanos, I guess, which I guess are Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate in a mask as well. They are Rhea and Beta, I think is their names. In the Royal Rumble match, Chad Gable, of course, returned still as Grande Americano. He came out addressed as the original Grande Americano, or the OG Grande Americano. So I think what this is building to, and a lot of people have speculated this as well, I think we're getting a mask versus mask match between these two at WrestleMania, where the loser will have to unmask. I don't know if we've ever seen something like that before. We've seen, mask versus hair, where if one person loses, they have to shave their head. If the luchador loses, they have to take off their mask, that kind of thing. But I don't know if we ever really saw a mask versus mask match where the loser unmasks. I predict that if this match does happen, I think Chad Gable is probably going to lose, so he can go back to being his regular old self and, leave the Grande Americano stuff to Ludwig Kaiser, because I think he just seems more popular as it anyways, and he's been Grande Americano longer than Chad Gable. And everything he's been doing and stuff, just it's kind of elevating Ludwig, I guess. He's kind of an intriguing character being dressed as Grande Americano. Nobody really ever addresses who he might be under the mask and that sort of thing. There's no mystery to it or anything. It's just this person exists now. And everybody can benefit from a gimmick change every once in a while. So I think, leave that with Ludwig and let him continue on as Grande Americano for a while, along with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, if that's really the route they want to go. And Chad Gable just go back to being Chad Gable. I don't think he really works as a luchador anyways, so I think him just going back to his regular, wrestling ways and just being himself, I think is better for him, and leave the wacky stuff to Ludwig and the other Americanos. This next one, I haven't really seen too many people talking about this potential match that could happen. I think we're getting Becky Lynch versus WWE's referee, Jessica Carr. Because I guess Jessica Carr is a wrestler in Evolve, I guess. So she does know how to wrestle. She has been in a ring before. And the way that WWE's been building stuff, it seems like she's always involved in matches of Becky Lynch's that sort of end in controversy or something. Or at least according to Becky, it's a controversial thing. Jessica Carr was just a referee for her match where she defended the title against AJ Lee at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. And of course, AJ won the title in that match, so she could maybe blame Jessica for that, attack Jessica, that sort of thing, and that sets up a match between them at WrestleMania, where Becky doesn't know that Jessica also knows how to wrestle. So it'll be like a thing where, oh, I'm going to face this referee, I'm going to beat her up and that kind of thing. And she's going to think she has the upper hand. And then Jessica's going to show that she can wrestle and do all these moves and stuff like that. I know it seems odd to put Becky in that sort of feud, and it seems kind of random. But it just seems like what they've been building to, because, like, it's been several months, I think, at this point, where, like, every time something happens to Becky, she's blaming the referee and stuff. And every match that she's been a part of that those sort of controversies happened in, Jessica Carr was the referee. So I could see them maybe building this to a match at WrestleMania, and then maybe Jessica goes into wrestling full-time in WWE instead of Evolve or something. I don't know why this would be like the plan of how they can bring Jessica Carr into WWE as a full-time wrestler instead of a referee, even though she already is a wrestler. Like, I don't know why they didn't just bring her up to, like, NXT or something anyways, unless she is, like, retired from wrestling. I'm not quite sure, but I did hear that she competes in Evolve, or at least in some other promotion, maybe the Indies or something. And I'm pretty sure she may have a mask. She might be like a luchador or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I know this doesn't seem like a big marquee match for someone like Becky Lynch to have, but I do think it's at least intriguing and something different that we haven't seen before, really, like a wrestler challenging a referee to a match at WrestleMania because they keep getting screwed in matches, or they feel that they keep getting screwed in matches. It is an odd storyline for Becky Lynch where she should be going for like a world title or something, but at least it's something for her to do. And I think if the plan is to push Jessica Carr and like make her a new wrestler on their main roster, then this might be a good way to do that. Have her beat Becky Lynch and embarrass Becky at Mania, and then they can continue a feud or something like that. Another one it seems to be building to, and you know, this is one that a lot of people have speculated about because I think it just seems almost obvious, is Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. You know, the implosion of the Judgment Day, basically. Like, Finn is going to turn babyface and attack Dom. And I think it's going to start as soon as this episode of Raw, where he's either going to cost Dominic the Intercontinental Championship in Dominic's match against Penta, or something's going to happen where Finn eventually just turns on Dominic to set up the feud. I feel like what they should have done at Elimination Chamber was have Dominic and JD come out to try and help Finn win the world title, even though he told them not to. Then Dominic might accidentally hit Finn or something, and then that costs him the match, so then Finn retaliates by costing Dominic. But they didn't go that route with it. You know, Finn just kind of lost clean to CM Punk. There was no interference and that sort of stuff. So maybe now the story could be that Dominic sort of brags to Finn, like, "Oh, I thought you were going to become the world champion. I thought you were bringing the title back to Judgment Day," you know, whatever, or makes fun of Finn, and then Finn turns on him, something along those lines. I do think it'll be a good match. Does it need the Intercontinental title? I don't think. I think you could have him cost Dom the title, like I said, and then just have the one-on-one match between the two of them at Mania. You could even go so far as to have him cost Dom the AAA world title or whatever as well, and really add fuel to the fire, like give Dominic a reason to challenge Finn to a match at WrestleMania. And I think if they go that route with like Finn costing him these titles that mean so much to him and that sort of stuff, I think that adds to the story in a fun way and can really intensify this rivalry that's kind of been brewing for the last couple of years. There's been sort of dissension among the Judgment Day, not just Finn and Dominic and the others, but also between Raquel and Liv as well. Like, you have that dynamic there where they might be breaking up, so you could have that spin off into like Finn and Raquel versus Dominic and Liv at some point down the road as well. But yeah, I do think that's a match that they're probably at least considering, or they're probably going to do. But whether or not it is for the title, I think Finn is still going to win. I think he needs a big win because he's been losing a lot lately. It hasn't really won too many singles matches, you know, in recent memory, and he keeps losing because he's on Judgment Day. So I think a good start for him to leaving Judgment Day is to start getting some wins, and I think that could start at WrestleMania against Dominic. Now this next one's kind of an iffy one because I don't know what their plan is now. We do know that Seth Rollins interfered in the Elimination Chamber and cost Logan Paul the match, which I guess would have been Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed in that match instead. But of course both of them are injured, so really the Vision storyline now revolves around Logan Paul and Austin Theory. And now Seth Rollins is back, so he's probably going to have a match against Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Or they might go the route of Seth needs a partner because there's two members of the Vision in Logan and Austin. So they'll put Seth Rollins and like LA Knight or somebody in a tag team match against them. I know that's not the original plan. The original plan was probably to have Seth versus Braun Breaker at WrestleMania. Unless Braun comes back somehow before WrestleMania, and their plan is to have that match anyways to further the feud, because his main feud is with Braun Breaker anyways, because Braun is the one that initiated the breakup of the Vision and them attacking Seth in the first place. But I think in order to sort of save the feud and continue it, I think having Seth versus Logan Paul, I mean, we've seen it before and it was a good match, so I think they can still put on another good match or whatever, or even this tag team match at least makes sense because LA Knight also still has issues with the Vision. It gives LA Knight something to do at WrestleMania as well, since he doesn't seem to have a feud other than with the Vision going on currently. And then from here, I think is where Seth can continue to feud with the others, like maybe Backlash or something. He faces Austin Theory. Then by then, Braun Breaker's back. You can have them fight at a pay-per-view, whatever's coming up. And then Bronson, I think he's out for like 6 months or something. So maybe around like October, November or something, you can have Seth versus Bronson at Survivor Series or something. I think they could continue to sort of build this feud and continue it despite these injuries, but I think it has to start here at WrestleMania. I think that's the obvious route. That's why they had Seth do this in the first place. So that one's more of like an obvious match, but I don't know if anybody was thinking about that tag team match, though. I don't know if I want to see that, like Seth and LA Knight. I think they should just focus on Seth trying to take down the Vision by himself. But considering there are other people that the Vision has gotten under the skin of lately, like LA Knight and people like Penta over the last couple of months and that sort of stuff, I think it'd be at least good for Seth to have a partner in this battle against the Vision, and it gives both Austin Theory and LA Knight something to do as well by doing this tag team match. Next up is another one that's kind of been theorized by other people as well, but there is an open challenge that Brock Lesnar, I guess, is issuing for WrestleMania. He's going to make several appearances, I guess, on Raw over the next month or so leading up to WrestleMania. To try and get an answer to his open challenge for Mania. And I don't think we're going to get that answer right away, but I do think the person that should challenge him is Obafemi. Because not only would it put Obafemi over, but it also ties into, their interaction in the Royal Rumble where they were kind of standing up against each other and like fighting each other in the Rumble and everything, and standing toe to toe. And Oba's just a big dude. So I think if they really want to cement Oba as almost like the new Brock Lesnar kind of, I think putting him in a match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania is a good start to that, to really show how powerful of a person he is, that he's this big dominant force that even Brock Lesnar can't beat. I think they need somebody like that in WWE now, and since Brock Lesnar's probably on his way out the door at some point, he's been here for a good long time now, I think Oba is the good replacement to sort of fill that void that Brock Lesnar's going to leave behind if he does decide to either become a part-timer again or just kind of retire from wrestling altogether. I've heard some people say also that Gunther could be Brock Lesnar's opponent at WrestleMania, but I think Obafemi benefits from this better than Gunther does. I know Gunther's got that whole gimmick of retiring people and he's the career killer and that sort of thing. He might have a match with Rey Mysterio or somebody at WrestleMania, but I don't think he needs to be Brock's opponent. I think if they want to build up a new Brock Lesnar, then Obafemi is the guy to go to for that. And I dare say it might even be a squash match. Imagine just Oba beats him just like Goldberg did or something. And just to really show how, truly dominant Obafemi can be, to kind of build him up as this new threat that, nobody can take down. He can be the new beast incarnate, basically. If he just squashes Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania and then we never see Brock again, or Brock doesn't come back for a while because he's embarrassed that he lost to Oba, I think it'd be a big start to Oba's main roster career. Having him face Brock Lesnar on the biggest stage of them all and actually win the match in a dominant fashion, I think would be the right call for his career, to really show us who he truly is and to give us something to look forward to every time we see him. Because he is over right now. Everybody's chanting his name and that kind of thing when he comes out. And so having him as this big dominant, I don't even know if it needs to be a heel, just this big dominant figure that nobody can beat. I think it's a good start to that would be beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. There you go, guys. Those are some of the matches that I think are going to happen at WrestleMania that have yet to be announced. Let me know what you guys think, down in the comments. What are some matches that you think are going to happen that I may not have mentioned? And also, what matches are you looking forward to out of the ones that have been announced so far, all the world title matches and stuff? Which ones do you think are going to be the best? And who are you looking forward to seeing win the most out of all those matches? Drop all that down in the comments. Also be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. And if you're new to the channel, go and check out all the other wrestling content that we've uploaded on this channel over the years as well. But as always, thank you for watching the video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.